So I'm going to get in. It looks like one of those friendly calls from Coleraine to begin with. So. Keith on the line. Hi, Keith.
How y'all doing tonight, Bob?
Okay, thanks for calling.
All right. Coach, want to say good luck to both of y'all this year. Coleraine looked like you guys are going to have another good team again this year. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
What do y'all think about Deshaun Wynn? I had the opportunity to see him play as a freshman at Lockland before he transferred to Reading, and what an amazing athlete. Comes from a good background and a good family, and I wish him the best of luck. Want to know your thoughts on that. And Papo, thank you for the tickets for the track last week. It was amazing. Tell everybody to get down there. It's a good time. Thank you, fellas.
That's fine. Of course, he's speaking of Deshaun Wynn, who plays at Reading now. Do you guys even get a chance to see a young guy like that, because you don't play in that division?
I've not seen him in person. I have spoken with his coach, Ken Miner, and he has nothing but great things to say about his work ethic, his abilities. A lot of the recruiters that came through in the spring, he was obviously one of the kids that was earmarked throughout the city as one of the very, very finest players.
Have you seen him, Bob?
No, actually, I talked with John Parker over at Mariemont, and John said, how could you guys not get him at Moeller? He said, we've got to play these guys, and we would really appreciate some help from you guys trying to get him to Moeller. But no, I understand he's a great talent.
Yeah, he's tough. Stephen Covington, hi, Steve.
Coming season with Blitz 5 Primetime.
For a full hour, we go across the tri-state to preview the teams, the players to watch, and all those big showdown games.
Plus, ChannelCincinnati.com has you covered online with previews, schedules, video, and more. Kick off the season with Blitz 5 Primetime on a special day and time, Tuesday night at 8, only on Channel 5.
This is a word of warning. The word blitz may be used in excess of 1,000 times on Channel 5 this week. First, the iWireless Blitz 5 Tour rolls into Anderson Township. We'll be live Friday from Anderson and their game with Lakota West. That starts at 5 o'clock. And tomorrow night at 8, we dust off Blitz 5 Primetime. We've got a full hour of high school football to tee up. And in the mix, a look at Reading's Deshaun Wynn, who may become the biggest recruiting prize Tri-State football will offer Division I colleges this fall. And with Reading losing more than 20 seniors from last year's playoff team, the going for Wynn initially may be slow.
Just be patient in games. Might not be as many big runs as last year. Just as the game goes on, keep going strong and see what happens from there.
Just to be himself and do the things he does best and not try to do too much. That he's to try to win it for the team by himself.
Reading and Deshaun Wynn open the season Friday night against Lockland. And again, Blitz 5 prime time tomorrow night at 8 right here on Chanel number 5. And the poll
gets me more open. And then when they try to double me up, that leaves a guy. I think it leaves a guy off of Deshaun, and he just run right through him.
Well, George, I smell a victory because whether it's run or pass, it's going to be Reading over Lockland by more than a nose.
Solly. These years of retirement from local TV really have softened your brain. You talk about smelling things. The only thing I smell is the smell of roadkill when your Reading fellas load up the bus and come to Lockland.
Sit.
I know the Panthers are coming off a tough 0-10 campaign, but nothing gets them going in Lockland like seeing the Blue Devils coming across the bridge.
Reading's our biggest game of the year, 70, 80-year rivalry. And many of us guys with a small team, this is the biggest game of our lives, and we're looking forward to it.
But we also have Lockland halfback Jarrell Hunter, and Solomon's been talking about smelling things. In the WWF, The Rock says, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Well, can you smell what George is cooking for head-to-head?
I think that's your feet, sir.
My feet? Yeah, I guess I did forget to wear my socks today. Anyway, anything else you smell out there?
A victory for our team.
A victory for you. Very good. Jarrell, thank you very much. You go get a shower. I guess I'll go get one myself, too, sometime. I guess I need it. For Solomon Wilcots, I'm George Vogel going head-to-head.
All right, guys, thank you. The Reading-Lockland game is tomorrow night. Tonight, it's Mason and Lebanon at Galbraith Field. We'll have all the highlights and after the game sound coming up tonight at 11 o'clock.
We'll have to tell George that they have those odor eater
That's
things.
right.
Yeah, I've known George since 1987. He has never worn socks. I don't know what the deal is.
It could be like back in your office.
It's 30 degrees below zero. He's walking around with his feet in his shoes with no socks.
Yeah,
I'll buy him some socks.
I'll chip in. I'll help.
Socks.
I'll get him some odor eaters. All right. Thanks.
Thank
Moving on.
Top running back, Reading's Deshaun Wynn. He'll go up against his former team, Lockland. It's going to be interesting. And over in...
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome welcome to Blitz 5 Primetime. George, I can't believe it's another year of high school football. I thought the playoffs ended like last week.
Seems like it, but I'll tell you what, it's great to have it back for real.
Mercy. Now, we've already had Kentucky and Indiana last week.
Yep.
Ohio starts this week, but we're going to, in the next hour, encapsulate, as we say in the sports office,
I like that word.
The entire tri-state high school football scene. A lot of stories that we have covered in the last couple of weeks to present to you tonight, not the least of which, the new head football coach at Moeller High School, the former Moeller great, the former New York Jet football player, the man who has been at Moeller for many, many years and now has taken over from Steve Clowney. We're going to get real close to what Bob Crable. We're also going to find out why it's been so long since a Cincinnati team has won a state football title. In fact, what a great place to start. What is this drought, and what is it all about?
First of all, I think there's more parity in high school football.
Has Ohio high school football become like the NFL? Remember the day when Cincinnati schools would go to Columbus or Akron or Massillon and bring home the hardware? From 1973 through 1989, local teams would win 17 titles. But since 1990, when the championship games have had permanent residence in Canton, Massillon, the area teams have only 3 titles. Add to that, only 5 schools that have made it to the title game in 6 divisions. Where have our football fortunes fallen to? Or have they?
Difficulty of your schedule, first of all, playing the team that you play, you know, in your GMC and the GCL, and you play those games, and then you play the same teams again in the playoffs, you know, and it becomes a very difficult task, I think.
They moved the state game all the way up to the northern part of the state. You know, that's almost like going to play an away game against a team that's playing at home, because most of the time the team you're playing against is from that area.
So how do we move the championship games closer to home?
If I can get a hold of Trestle and see if we can get it back up there to Ohio State. So that was the most fun that you can ever have, is playing there.
And if Ohio State doesn't agree, then what do we do?
The experience factor also, you know, they're in and out, and those teams up there are same old teams you see every year that are in there, and the more playoff experience they get, and just the knowing that you can do it. We played Valley View last year as a team that's always there, and you just got to get that playoff experience.
We've got to the Final Four twice in the last 10 years, and we lost to St. Henry both times in very good ball games. So it's just jumping over that hurdle is the last thing we have to do.
Lately, that last hurdle has been tough to clear. Moeller and St. X have had 2 shots at championships in the 90s. The last Cincinnati team to win a Division I championship, that was Princeton in 1987. The last area state champ, Lebanon, 1998.
Cincinnati deserves and belongs having state champions, and so I think all of us down here are concerned about that as coaches, and we want to see us get one this year.
It's been a big drought, George. There's no question about that. But I think there's some teams that bear watching this year.
Yep.
First of all, St. X. I mean, any year, any time, you got to pay attention to the Bombers.
Right.
Another team, the Wyoming Cowboys. They seem to have that running game dialed in again. And then there's the maestro, the Methuselah, Kerry Combs up at Coleraine.
Kerry, yeah, he's going to be tough.
When the snow starts to fall, you got to figure Kerry Combs and Coleraine will be around, I would think.
They were last year.
Right, but every so often, you get the Cinderella story. And last year, of course, that was the Reading Blue Devils. What a great run they had. Kenny Minor, great job last year. We're looking for you again this year, too.
Speaking of runs, they've got a nice runner coming back, but we're going to get to him later.
Okay.
But you know what the coaches say?
What?
The championships begin now, in August, in July.
Right.
What gets you closer to high school football than the iWireless Blitz 5 Tour. Every Friday beginning at 5, Ken Brew and the Blitz 5 crew preview the games live from a Tri-State Stadium.
The tour stops in Anderson this week. We'll preview their game with Lakota West as the season kicks off in Ohio.
When George and I come back with Blitz 5 Prime Time, we'll wander across that Brent Spence Bridge. We'll go back to the pit at Elder High School and talk about one of the best players in the Tri-State. Back with a final thought on Blitz 5 Prime Time after this. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Elder High School with George Vogel. I'm Ken Brew. This is Blitz 5 Prime Time. One of the great players in the Tri-State, George, who has got everybody knocking on his door, is Deshaun Wynn at Reading High School. Might be the best senior of all the seniors here in the Tri-State in terms of athletic ability.
Yeah, I can remember the buzz about this guy when he was a freshman. They were talking about this guy, and he has lived up to the billing. And our Solomon Wilcots had a chance to talk with Deshaun, and he's at Reading High School and has more with the city's perhaps top back.
The city of Reading was founded back in 1851, and during those 150 years, the Reading Blue Devils has given birth to two former NFL head coaches, Eddie Bile and Jerry Glanville. But really, the best is yet to come. He's a tailback, and his name is Deshaun Wynn. Deshaun Wynn has more than earned his title as the big man on campus at Reading. He's also earned a spot on ESPN.com's top 100 recruiting list. Wynn served notice during his junior year when he ripped Finneytown for an eye-popping 475 rushing yards. And while he expects an even more successful senior campaign, Wynn says that patience is the name of the game.
Take game by game. He says just be patient in games. It might not be as many big runs as last year. Just as the game goes on, keep going strong and see what happens from there.
Just to be himself and do the things he does best and not try to do too much. That he's to try to win it for the team by himself. He knows that he needs his teammates and not to become frustrated if things don't come his way.
Even with all the attention coming his way, Wynn is no gridiron prima donna. With the Blue Devils needing to replace nearly half of its players from 1 year ago, Wynn will also start on the defensive side of the ball, playing linebacker.
Teams I've been on have been pretty two-platoon, so really haven't needed to step in and play defense, but I don't think it'll affect me as much because I've been working hard this summer to get in shape for that. I know I'm going to have to carry the ball 30 times a game and also make plays on defense, so I think I'm prepared for that.
The city of Reading was settled because it rested alongside an often used Indian trail. And now, Deshaun Wynn has set the Blazers' own trail through each opposing defense he'll face during the 2001 season. I'm Solomon Wilcox for Blitz Prime Time.
George, we're going to have to break Solly at this prime time. Solly, you don't work for ESPN anymore, and you work for CBS. They don't have. They don't say those things.
Have that. No. But we'll get him out of that habit.
He'll be fine.
Yes.
Is the Meyer Sports Rush with John Popovich and Catherine Nero.
Good evening, everyone. You know, Cincinnati, it's a great city for pro sports. It's a terrific city for college sports, but it's an extraordinary city for high school sports, and that is why we're here. This is the premiere edition of the Meyer Sports Rush. I'm Catherine Nero.
And I'm John Popovich. Tonight we're in Marymount, and we're focusing in on high school football. You know, in most cities, Catherine, they don't do shows like this. But Cincinnati is different because this town has always had a special devotion to high school football.
The area's top players just ahead on the Meyer Sports Rush. Plus, we find a place in Cincinnati where black and white aren't as far apart. Once again, college coaches are salivating at the chance at signing one of the Tri-State's top players. This year, there are plenty to choose from. Deshaun Wynn from Reading is the name on everyone's lips. The speedy Blue Devil running back rushed for 1,366 yards last season with 20 touchdowns. In the Cincinnati Hills League, there's one thing everyone agrees on.
We're on the CHL. Wyoming's always the top team. I think we'll be pretty good this year.
The Cowboys return a great deal of experience from a team that went 10-3. Which makes Coach Berry's job a whole lot easier.
I was telling one of our graduating seniors from last year who stopped by to watch practice yesterday afternoon how much further ahead we are now. Last year at this time we had one returning starter on offense and only 4 on defense, and it was much more of a learning situation.
And none of that sounds good to the rest of the CHL.
Step up front, your feet moving. Get him going, get him going, get him going, get him going. Peel, go, 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 go.
But that doesn't stop Madeira coach Tim Viox from leading a spirited practice. The Mustangs return a solid defense led by linebacker Brian Cummins.
We should be pretty well in defense, and the whole team's looking pretty good. We're stronger than we've ever been, and we're in really great shape.
But the most dangerous team in the league has to be Reading, with quarterback Charlie Vampel and the city's strongest running back, Deshaun Wynn.
And I think they've got a real fine team. I think they're going to challenge for the league championship. I think Indian Hill only lost really 3 players from last year, so they're going to be all back, and they're going to challenge for the league championship. Reading with Deshaun Wynn is going to be really good. Marymount's improved. We will be improved. And so it's going to be from top to bottom. It's going to be a heck of a league. Always is.
Here's one of them, 76 yards. He had 10 carries, 245 yards, and 4 scores. Reading a 70-0 winner.
Dominates. Bacon sizzles. Hillsborough loses. Reading dominates.
To the Friday Night Blitz, I'm George, he's Ken, and it's time to get right down to business and go head-to-head. And Ken, like I have to ask, how did my mighty Laughlin Panthers do tonight?
George, in fairness to Solomon, who's not with us tonight, I will call the highlights as Reading and Laughlin go head-to-head. Our head-to-head matchup in Laughlin tonight. This is Deshaun Wynn's world, and we're all just living in it. The Reading Star only played a half tonight, but he did this. And he's playing defense this year, too, George. He's a linebacker who can deliver on that side of the ball. They love him at Reading. Watch Deshaun Wynn just lay a licking and keep on ticking. Ken Miner, head coach, Reading Blue Devils, Wynn 10 carries tonight, 245 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He only played a half. This one covered 70 yards. 70 zip is the final.
Are you kidding?
In the head-to-head battle tonight, George, hate to tell you, Solomon drops are hurting on you.
George, have you ever heard of odor eaters? The only thing that stinks around here is you and the Panthers.
See, because you didn't wear the socks.
I didn't wear the socks. I got to agree with the guy. Hey, now.
Ross Ballinger, 255 with 4 TDs. Reading's Deshaun Wynn, 245 with 4 TDs. Madeira's Brian Cummings, dual duty, 4 rushing touchdowns.
Games, 5 o'clock.
We got a full slate of action. The hits and the licks are the very reason you need to have that VCR ready to roll. Besides the high school. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this late edition of the final quarter on the first weekend of the high school football season. From one end of the tri-state to the other, and we'll waste no time getting to the goods. Off the top, we got Reading and Laughlin.
We're the Reading Blue Devils, and all we want to know is, where's their horn?
Come on, Dan's in Montreal with the Reds. We'll hear from him later. First, a flashback to '98. Here's then Laughlin freshman phenom Deshaun Wynn hitting the corner against Landmark Christian and taking it 75 yards to the house. Tonight, Wynn comes full circle. He's now a senior at Reading, facing his former teammates at Laughlin, taking care of business, coasting to the 20-yard TD. Laughlin would see a lot of their former teammate like this. Watch him work. This one covers 55 yards for the touchdown. You know, I think he can play. Wynn carries the ball 10 times for 238 yards and scores 4 times. Reading rolls a 70 zip.
It's icon, and all things will be right in the world.
Yes, they will. Congratulations again to the students of the week. We're back with the Saturday morning edition of the Blitz. I'm George, of course, he's Ken, and time to get right down to business and go head-to-head. So, Ken, like I need to ask, how did my mighty Panthers of Laughlin fare in this game?
George, I want you to be courage. I want you to have courage. I want you to be stiff upper lip. In fairness to George and to Solomon, who are not here, I'll call the highlights. You make the decision who won this game. It's our head-to-head battle. We're in Laughlin. So is Reading. That means Deshaun Wynn is in Laughlin. Man, he was living large and loving life. The Reading Star only played a half last night, but he did this. Deshaun is playing defense this year, too. He's a linebacker who can deliver on that side of the ball. Watch the lick. Bang. Wow. Reading went on to drop a hurt on Laughlin last night. That's Ken Miner, the Blue Devils coach. He pulled Wynn after only 10 carries. But he had 245 yards and 4 touchdowns. This one covered 70 yards. 70-0 is the final. In the head-to-head battle, Solomon and Reading beat George.
George, have you ever heard of odor eaters? The only thing that stinks around here is you and the Panthers.
See, now that's terrible.
I didn't wear socks out there the other day. They got a point. Now to the...
Good idea.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of sun tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm
so
hoping...
if you're looking for a tan, it's probably not the day.
Too late. Yeah, trying to get it before the summer's over. You know,
it's
almost
better hurry
over.
up.
No. Thanks a lot, Jessica. Well, Laughlin takes a huge hit from Reading on the opening night of Friday Night Football. DJ has the highlights that many Laughlin fans won't want to see.
And a good Saturday to you. Here is a sports update. Of course, last night was the first big Friday night
of football across Ohio and the tri-state for that matter. We will start first and foremost in Laughlin with the Panthers hosting Reading. The Blue Devils out to repeat and improve on 2000 when they made it to the semifinals, and Coach Ken Miner wants back and beyond, obviously. They're up 7-0 when Adam Caldwell hooks up with Charles Vampel. A little swing pass, and he's gone as you watch the nonstop 9 sports line. 75 yards for the TD, 14-0 Reading, and Coach Matt Stanyard isn't pleased in the least. The starters were gone early in this one, so here we save one for last. Deshaun wins, wonders. Till 76 yards here, 10 carries, 245 yards, 4 scores, Reading a 70-0 winner. More on all divisions 2 through 6. Wyoming and McNicholas still on top, but Indian Hill takes over the third rung from Reading despite their 70-0 rout of Laughlin. The panel of voters might think that's the least they could have done considering their offense, keyed by Deshaun Wynn. 10 carries, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. Roger Bacon down to rung 2 to 5th, Loveland up to 6th, Purcell Marion 7th. Madeira up a notch to 8th, followed by newcomers New Richmond and Hamilton Bay.
With a look back the first weekend of high school football throughout the tri-state, editor Derek Froelich provides his usual magic for those behind the scenes that make this show really go. We thank you for watching, and we hope to see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Tonight, 40-18, spring.
Reading with the big win again.
Out to the bottom.
To Reading, where Deshaun Wynn, Blue Devils, welcoming Summit. Wynn a load up the middle, and he is bulling his way, rumbling 24 yards for the TD, 14-zip Reading. All Reading on this one. Charles Vampel on the punt. He will weave his way. Just needs 40 yards to make it 21-zip. Blue Devils, they win it big, 40-18. Let's go to the board. Williamsburg puts up a 35 spot in the quarter.
We're headed to the Village. Indian Hill hosting Reading. The Braves drawing first blood. Running back Ole Kendall breaks through the line and gallops 35 yards to pay dirt. He's got some quicks. Indian Hill went on for the 2 conversion and got it, led 8-0. But you know who Reading is going to go to? Best running back in town. Shredded some of this stuff. Deshaun Wynn finds an opening, and he's gone. 30 yards in the 6th, but Indian Hill has more horses. The Hill wins 35-18.
Well, Reading and Indian Hill played on. The Blitz 5 girls were there, giving it all they got for the Braves. I love it. We arrived in the 3rd quarter. Indian Hill still ahead. This gives the Braves some pads. This is young Mr. Arnold with the reception. 15-6, Indian Hill with the lead. Reading regroups. Number 8 is Adam Caldwell on the quarterback keeper. And that makes it a 15-12 game. But that piece of good news was short-lived. The ensuing kickoff, it's Matt Sweeney. Look at him go. He almost takes it all the way. But it sets up yet another. Look at him weaving back and forth like a loom. 38, I should say 35-18 is the final. This Indian Hill team is very, very good.
They opened up the Cincinnati Hills League. Reading against Indian Hill. A lot of fans, a lot of noise, and a lot of great football coming up on Friday Sports Fever. Martin's football team this week assumed the top spot in the Inquirer coaches poll. That's among the smaller schools. Friday night took us to Indian Hill, and what a way to start the Cincinnati Hills League. Warm and muggy, but even hotter because Reading was tagging with Indian Hill. The Braves from Indian Hill were regarded as the preseason favorites in the league, but they knew they had to deal with a very dangerous Reading team. Ole Kendall got a lane on the left side for the Braves in the first quarter. He hit the open field. A 2-point conversion gave the Braves an 8-0 lead. Kendall had 106 yards rushing tonight. Early in the second quarter, the Blue Devils did just about the same thing. Deshaun Wynn went 28 yards for the touchdown. He had 129 yards rushing. The point after failed, Indian Hill led 8-6. And the defenses made sure it stayed that way through the rest of the first half. Every opportunity was turned back. That all changed with about 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Reading punted from its end zone. Watch this. Andre Willis taking the ball on the run and then making a real good comeback all the way to the Reading 11-yard line. 2 plays later, Bill Zimmer got time to throw. Right in front of photographer Sean Dunster, he hit Kyle Arnold in the numbers, Indian Hill 15-6. In rapid fashion, Reading came back. Wynn was used as a decoy, and quarterback Adam Caldwell made 2 big runs. The second was a touchdown. It was 15-12. But the Braves started to control the line of scrimmage after that. Rick Harding blasts over the right side. Indian Hill is back ahead by 9. And then early in the 4th period, John Perrin went right, bounced nicely to the outside, and busted into the clear. When he got close to the goal line, he cut back for the score, 34 yards for the touchdown, and Indian Hill goes on to beat Reading tonight, 35-18. But first, it's the First Star IMAX really big play of the game. We go to Indian Hill. Reading was making a run in the 3rd quarter. The Blue Devils score a touchdown. They are within 3 points. Indian Hill takes the kickoff, and they need a really big play. They got one from Mike Sweeney, who does a little of everything for this team. He streaks to the right, looks at the flow of traffic, then breaks back toward the left, picking up some big yardage. He then darts back to the right all the way to the 6-yard line, setting up the big insurance touchdown. And that, my friends, is the First Star IMAX really big play of the game.
This finished up before the bad weather was at Indian Hill Reading game, and this guy is a very, very happy man. This is Kevin Seipel, the head coach at Indian Hill High School. What a game for you guys last night, and you admitted to me, candidly, that you were a little nervous going into this Reading game last night.
Oh, we were very concerned. It was an exciting night for our whole community, and you know, Reading has got such an outstanding football team, and we feel real good about the result.
When you look at Reading on tape, and I'm sure you looked at him a lot before this game, 2 guys stand out. Deshaun Wynn, who may be the most highly recruited athlete in the Tri-State this football season, and Charlie Vample. Tell me how you handled both of those guys.
Well, they're 2 amazing athletes. Deshaun Wynn is one of the best I've seen in my 19 years of coaching. He's so fast, he's so strong. And then they have Charlie Vample out on the outside, and they've got a quarterback who can get him the ball. So, we were really concerned, and we put our best athlete, we think, Mike Sweeney, on Charlie Vample and tried to man him up, and then we tried to play good team defense behind Deshaun.
Now, this was a key moment in the game, 15-12. They had just scored to make it a 3-point game, and here comes Sweeney with this long run that sets up another score. So, obviously, that was key for you guys last night, that one particular play.
That was huge. To answer like that, you could feel the momentum was shifting a little bit, and Mike Sweeney's done that for us for the last 3 years. He's an exciting player. He's fun to watch.
Now, we have said consistently here at Channel 5 that the CHL, year in and year out, seems to play the most competitive football of any league in the greater Cincinnati area. Now, conferences have great teams every year. I mean, the Elders are great, the Mollers are great, the St. X's are great in the GCL, and you can line them up in other conferences. But head to toe, it seems like the CHL is often the most balanced conference around here.
Well, for small school football, I believe that CHL is the most competitive league in the state of Ohio. We have great coaches in the CHL and some great rivalries. It's exciting. It's really interesting every Friday night because you don't get a break in the CHL. It's good small school football.
Now, you're off to a very good start. As you looked at this season as it lined up before you actually got in and played the games, could you envision yourself being 3-0 after these 3 games, particularly who you played so far?
Well, we opened up with Edgewood, and Steve Chanel at Edgewood does an unbelievable job, and we were thinking that we had to open up with them and then play Reading week 3, and I'll be honest, I would have been happy 2-1 after the start that we've had. So we feel real good about where we are with the schedule.
Well, here they are. Tim Coffey is a senior at Reading High School. He plays tight end and safety on the football team. Tim is a member of the National Honor Society and is student council treasurer. Tim Coffey has never missed a day of school in 11 years. He also carries a high GPA, 3.5. Well, now, if you know someone who deserves to be...
Tonight, students gently waved the massive flag while many fans brought flags into the stadium. Bad news for the home team tonight as standout running back Deshaun Wynn suffered a rib injury in the first quarter. Wyoming has a star running back of its own in P.J. Pope, and check out the cutback that left the defender grasping at air. Adios. Pope goes 47 yards to score. A 2-point conversion gave the Cowboys an 8-0 lead. But in the second quarter, Reading answers. Charles Vampel fields the punt, makes a man miss, and steps on the accelerator. Kiss him goodbye. A 41-yard touchdown for Vampel, but the lone highlight for Reading as Wyoming rolls 50-6. 3 years ago, Woodward barely had enough.
6 over Reading. 2 losses in a row now for Reading.
7. Matchup of 2 of the area's top running backs. Reading's Deshaun Wynn sprains his ribs, sits it out. Wyoming's P.J. Pope would have to wait for Anthony Wright to do nothing wrong. 52 yards to pay dirt. The blowout is on, folks. Here comes P.J. Pope. Watch him float in the air before he turns it on. 70 yards. Cowboys roll it up. 50-6 is your final. Oak Hills and Sycamore Blanca.
These two are loving life before being informed that paint didn't wash off. Reading at Finningtown, quarterback Adam Caldwell puts it up. Reading's Charles Vampel pulls it down. He could go. That's somebody else's shtick. Reading on top 13-zip. The Blue Devils without the services of star runner Deshaun Wynn, who has bruised ribs. They didn't need him tonight. Caldwell with the 8-yard TD run, helping the Blue Devils beat Finningtown 48-28. Wyoming star P.J. Pope suffered a
235 total yards, 5 touches. Reading's Deshaun Wynn, 23 carries, 5 TDs. In Williamsburg, Jason Bainham, he rushed for 354.
Top of the small school list, Indian Hill hangs steady, and Purcell Marion checks in at number 5. But the loss of Deshaun Wynn sends Reading below New Richmond and Ross at number 10. There may be some moving and shaking after today, but
Reading coach Ken Miner with designs on taming Madeira's Mustangs for the first time this season. But Madeira had other ideas, like Adam Dooley putting the disappearing act until it's way too late, and he's in for the score. Reading, though, had simply too much Deshaun Wynn, sore ribs and all. He rushed for 298 yards with 2 touchdowns, as Reading hands Madeira its first loss 20-12. Mariemont's Warriors went trick
and he's in for the Madeira score. Reading, though, had just too much Deshaun Wynn, sore ribs and all. He rushed for 298 yards with 2 touchdowns as Reading hands Madeira its very first loss, 20-12. Also in the Cincinnati Hills League, let's check out the weekly top 10 brought to you by 2 through 6 are just as tight at the top. The McNick Rockets are ahead of the pack, but Indian Hill and Roger Bacon are in hot pursuit. A new number 1.
Reading's Blue Devils make the field on the strength of a 20-12 win over Madeira, the Mustangs' first loss. But who wins Tempstar Team of the Week honors? We'll have to wait until 11 o'clock tonight. We talked earlier about Coleraine, Elder, and St.
It looked pretty good, didn't it? All right, let's go to the scoreboard now. Reading with a big win over Deer Park. Madeira, no problem.
Deshaun Wynn breaking Reading's all-time rushing record. He got 258. Williamsburg's Jason Bainham just doing it again.
Where we have to take stock of all the good running backs we've been seeing. Some that you might know, and some that you're going to meet. There are those running backs who get a lot of exposure around here. Maurice and Jermaine Johnson come to mind because they play for Coleraine, a high-visibility team. Steve Everson of Newport Central Catholic is pretty well known. He had 2,100 yards last season. Deshaun Wynn of Reading has gotten the pub because of the amount of attention he's gotten from the college scouts. And of course there's Jason Bainham from tiny Williamsburg, who set some major rushing records. But there are plenty of other good runners who you probably hear little about because of where they play.
Yeah, I think if I was at the bigger school, it would be the same situation. You know what I'm saying? But down here, just take it like this.
Donnie Johnson of North College Hill is one of those running backs you might not be familiar with. The talent to run, want to run, until somebody finally stops them.
Top in the big school list. There wasn't much moving around in the Enquirer coaches poll this. McNick hangs steady in the small schools poll. Our host school, North College Hill, checks in at 6, with some tough teams following.
Losing at home to Wyoming. Reading wins. North College Hill wins.
There wasn't much movement in the weekly top 10, brought to you by Provident 8th and 9th. As for the small schools, McNicholas is just ahead of Wyoming for number 1. Indian Hill's loss only drops the Braves to 4th. Madeira's 7th, while Mount Healthy checks in at number 10.
Door sales blitz board. Bacon over McNick. Wow, 42-17. Marymount falls to Deer Park. Finneytown shut out by Indian Hill. Reading wins big tonight. Summit over.
Reading's Charlie Vampel gets the school all-time receiving record. Goshen's Corey Booker, 326.
At 15,
Taylor goes down to Reading 49-14.
It is my pleasure to introduce.
A little cold didn't bother the co-eds from Cincinnati Country Day, but the Reading Blue Devils certainly did. This is quarterback Adam Caldwell sweeping around the left end, lowering his shoulder pads and hitting pay dirt. It gave Reading a 34-0 lead in the second quarter. No miracle comeback for CCD, but the Indians did avoid the shutout on this TD pass from Brad Keyser to Webb Lawrence. Reading heads to the playoffs after beating CCD 47-16. Elsewhere, New Richmond.
Reading's Deshaun Wynn, 210, 3 TDs in the first quarter. Milford's Mike Bernard.
All the action. Now on ONN's High School Sports Site with Douglas Ells.
Hello, Ohio, and welcome to this special edition of High School Sports Site and the official announcement of the high school football playoff pairings. We're also proud to make another announcement today. For the first time ever, all 6 state championship games will be televised statewide live right here on the Ohio News Network. So be sure to join us Friday, November 30th and Saturday, December 1st for the live play-by-play of all 6 title games in Massillon and Canton. See all 192 teams which will try to take the first step to a state championship when the playoffs get underway this week. High school football playoff pairings in Division 5. The first round game scheduled for Friday night. The Firebirds of Bedford-Chanel host the Hawken Hawks in round 1. The winner gets either the Crestview Rebels or the Dukes of Wellington. The third-seeded JFK Eagles face an always dangerous Tuslaw Mustangs team in round 1. And it's a battle of the Raiders when South Range hosts Columbia. Over to Northwest Ohio in Region 18, the undefeated and top-seeded Pleasant Spartans host the Wildcats of Woodmore. Delphus Jefferson and Delphus St. John share a stadium, so you could say they'll host each other next weekend. Someone will get their first loss of the season when Crestview travels to Liberty Center. And a band of Apaches are waiting at Sherwood Fairview when the Bluffton Pirates sail into town. The defending state champions are the number 1 seed in Region 19. The Amanda Clear Creek Aces will host the Smithville Smithies. The Zeps of Shenandoah get a home game against the Barnesville Shamrocks. The Chesapeake Panthers will try to shatter the Crooksville Ceramics. And the Licking Heights Hornets travel to Woodsfield to take on the Monroe Central Seminoles. In Region 20, the North College Hill Trojans are the top seed. They'll begin their quest for the title against the Zane Trace Pioneers. The Silver Knights of Bishop Reedy head south to take on the Richmondale Southeastern Panthers. The 9-1 Columbus Academy Vikings hit the road for a date with the Lehman Catholic Cavaliers. And we close out Division 5 with the Wheelersburg Pirates entertaining the Reading Blue Devils. And you can see the Division 5 state championship game Friday afternoon, November 30th, live here on ONN. Dan Franjak rejoining us again in some interesting matchups in D5.
Well, you're not kidding, Doug. The number 1 team in the state is the number 1 seed in Region 17. St. Peter Chanel came up 11 points short in the state championship game in 2000 to Amanda Clear Creek. This year, the North Coast League champs are eager to make the return to Canton with plenty of senior leadership and a new head coach, William Powers, who replaced Jeff Rotsky. America's friendliest city will probably be pretty mean and ugly this weekend as the Delphus Jefferson Wildcats try to tame the Delphus St. John's Blue Jays. St. John's had won 3 straight state titles in Division 6 before being beat by Maria Stein Marion Local last year in the playoffs. This year, the Jays make the jump to Division 5, but their cross-city rival could be Ohio's newest dynasty. And we mentioned the Aces of Clear Creek earlier. The Aces got off to a rough start, losing to Columbus Academy 23-8 in the second week, but they bounced back to earn a number 1 seed in Region 19. The Aces are going for their 3rd straight state title in Division 5. Their coach, Ron Hinton, not the only Hinton in the playoffs. His brother, Tim, coaches for the Marion Harding Presidents. Interesting note there.
Keeping it all in the family. All right, Dan, thanks a lot. We'll check back with you in a minute.
Division 5 Friday night action sees Zane Trace at North College Hill, which earned the 1 seed, while Reading hits the highway for Wheelersburg. Just 1 local game in Division.
And in Region 5, I should say Division 5, Region 20, North College Hill would have a home game against Zane Trace this weekend, while Reading would have to go on the road and play at Wheelersburg, and Reading suffering a major loss on Friday night with the injury to running back Deshaun Wynn. Storylines now. Reading High School in the playoffs again. Reading made it all the way to the Division 5 Final Four last year, but of course they didn't have a healthy Deshaun Wynn. Apparently he's okay now. Wynn hurt his leg last week in Reading's season finale, but he was back at practice on Thursday. Reading finished this season 7-3. They lost a lot of players from last year's Final Four team, and that's what's made getting back to the postseason really sweet for head coach Ken Miner and his crew.
You know, this year's been very rewarding to us as coaches and as players because we lost over half our team last year. We had 20-something seniors that were starters for 3 years, and everybody thought, nah, we're not going to be that good this year. Yes, we have Charlie Vample and we have Deshaun Wynn, but it takes all 22.
Kenny Biner now. Everybody, I'm Ken Brew. What a busy week for the playoffs last night. Last night, week 1 in Ohio and Kentucky. They continued on, of course, in Indiana. But in week 1 in Ohio and Kentucky, we brought you 17 highlight games. We had 21 local teams, 17 highlight games last night. So right now, let's take a look at the best of Friday night. And all right, Reading on the road last night at Wheelersburg. A long way to go, but Deshaun Wynn must have been plenty rested. Wynn rushes last night for 326 yards. This touchdown is 70-yarder. Deshaun also had TD runs of 17 and 80. And check out this hustle. Adam Caldwell, the junior quarterback, snips out the end zone and leaps on it like it's a waterbed. 39-31 is the final. Reading with the win.
50 yards for the touchdown. Final in that one, Washington Courthouse 39, Indian Hill 31, and Reading takes Wheelersburg 39-31.
Of 12 News is brought to you by Kroger.
Reading's Deshaun Wynn, 30 carries equals 326 and 3.
Lloyd on the road last night at Wheelersburg. That was a long way to go, but Deshaun Wynn must have been plenty rested. Wynn rushes 30 carries, 326 yards, and that's one of his 3 touchdowns. Check out this hustle. Adam Caldwell, the Reading junior quarterback, watch him sniff out the end zone and then leap on it like it's a waterbed. 39-31 is the final. 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards. Yes, sir. Deshaun Wynn, healthy and rested.
Back on the AE Door Sales Blitz Playoff scoreboard. Columbus Academy falling to Sidney Lehman. Yeah, and Columbus Reedy, a 3-point winner. 10-7 the final there.
Louisville battled it.
Here's the weekly top 10, the final regular season Inquirer coach. In the small schools poll, McNick was first most of the year, but the Rockets finished third. Wyoming is tops, Bacon second, New Richmond had a nice showing, and Madeira is 10th. In Kentucky,
7:30. North College Hill is at Hillsboro. Reading plays at Dayton Welcome Stadium. Kentucky time in Dayton.
These games are Friday night at 7:30. North College Hill plays Ready at Hillsboro, and Reading plays Sidney Lehman at Welcome Stadium.
Reedy, Division 5 at Dayton Welcome Stadium. Reading versus my hometown's Sidney Lehman. Covington Catholic.
We focus on the top rushers in the area in this week's Provident Weekly Top 10. These are the players who get down and dirty, including Williamsburg's Jason Bainham. He's also the area's leading scorer. Donnie Johnson from North College Hill ran all over his opponents this year. Mount Healthy's B.J. Flowers is third, followed by a couple of Cincinnati Hills runners, Deshaun Wynn from Reading and Wyoming's P.J. Pope. Mike Lovell from Lakota West registers at 6th. CCD's Matt Marshall is just ahead of Myron Hopkins from Lloyd. Ross Ballinger and Charlie Key round out the weekly top 10.
School football playoffs are heading to Paul Brown Stadium, and Blitz 5 Extra will be there live Saturday at 1 on Channel 5.
Games you'll see tonight at 11 o'clock on Channel 5. McNick in action. New Richmond plays Bellbrook. North College Hill continues on. Reading is at Lehman, and
It's time to get juiced up for the high school football playoffs. North College Hill Trojans are ready. Are you ready?
13 win tonight.
Reading in Division 5 taking on Sidney Lehman Catholic. It's tied at 3. Lehman Catholic with the ball. Adam Hewitt runs it in from the 10-yard line, and it's 10-3. Lehman Catholic on top. Reading back on the attack. Adam Caldwell throwing to Shannon Hammonds. He breaks the tackle, and there goes Shannon down the sidelines. Not going to be caught. 65 yards. The Blue Devils are in this game. I'll tell you, that Hewitt cat was tough to catch tonight. This time he rips one for 35 yards. Reading beaten 29-10 by Lehman Catholic.
We were in the ball game real well for the first half, and it just seemed like the second half momentum swayed. We made a mistake catching the ball inside the 5 on a punt, fair catch and a punt. It seems like they rallied on that, and we just didn't ever kind of rally back. And
Back to the AE Door Sales Blitz board. Next week in the Division 5 Region 20 Finals, North College Hill will play Sidney Lehman Catholic, site to be announced on Sunday. And also Sunday, right?
And TBE means to be announced.
To be announced.
That's too bad. That could have been Reading and North College Hill, huh?
Yeah, well, the Trojans roll on, though.
Amazingly.
And still another fine season for Ken Miner and the men of Reading on the AE Door Sales Blitz board.
Sidney Lehman Catholic. And Reading from Dayton. Things look good early for the Blue Devils. Adam Caldwell rolling out. Hitch, Shannon Hammonds. Two Lehman defenders collide. That's a gift you don't give back. No one's going to catch him now. 50-plus for the TD. But Sidney has a running back who can get it done. Off the pitch, Adam Hewitt making two great cuts. He will go in. That's a TD, and that's your game. Reading coming home 29-10. Sidney Lehman. Steve.
Stay tuned. Mike Hartsock is next with Touchdown 7.
It's another Friday night in the Miami Valley. That means fans in the stands and battle on the field. The big hits, the teamwork, the great plays. It's all part of another Touchdown 7 Friday night. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second Friday night of the playoffs. 6 games involving 7 area teams. Tonight, Touchdown 7 has it all covered. Let's start the Division 5, the Lehman Cavaliers in Welcome Stadium's spotlight tonight. Jeff Ulenake's team facing off against a Reading club that featured one of the top runners in the state. I'm talking about Deshaun Wynn, who's being recruited by everybody. But he couldn't do anything against the Cavaliers. Gang tackling was nailing them. The Cavs down 3-0 in the second quarter. Adam Hewitt, extra effort, third and fourth effort, gets it into the end zone, 7-3. Looking for more was Sidney Lehman, but they throw an interception at the goal line right before the half, and Reading has the lead. The third quarter, it's Adam Hewitt again. Hewitt breaks off a 30-yard touchdown run, and on the scoreboard, Sidney Lehman goes on to knock off Reading 29-10. They will play North College Hill next. A winner over Columbus Bishop Reedy, 35-13. We've got a couple of teams still alive.
Season awards are being handed out. Of course, the Tri-State is well represented, but not just on the football district football team announcements. Another running back, Deshaun Wynn from Reading, was Division 5's big winner. So was Martin.
Named Co-Offensive Player of the Year in Division 5. Wynn led the Blue Devils into the playoffs this year with over 2,000 yards and 30 TDs, while over in Division 6. Williamsburg's Jason Bainham added one more accolade of an outstanding season. The state's all-time leading rusher also named Co-Offensive Player of the Year.
And on that uplifting note, we tell you that's Channel 9 News
here on Blitz 5 Extra this afternoon. And we'll talk a little bit about in sports coming up in just a moment as we go to breaks. Some more kids who hit the high note in football this season.
In Ohio, Deshaun Wynn, the fine running back who led Reading to the playoffs during the past 2 seasons, was named the Associated Press Offensive Player of the Year in Ohio. That's for Division 5. And
Good evening. This is your Ohio Sports Report.
Welcome to the Ohio Sports Report. Gail Fisher along. We're going to introduce you to our final group of finalists for the Wendy's High School Heisman Award. They excel both on the field and in their classrooms and communities, as Jim Day shows us.
My name is Tim Coffey, senior at Reading High School, home of the Blue Devils. 4-year varsity football, 4-year varsity track, 1 year varsity wrestling, 1 year varsity bowling. I'm on National Honor Society and numerous other clubs.
Tim is another guy that likes numbers, and while calculus makes many of us cringe, Tim is in the calculus club. He plans on taking his skills to the business world someday.
The more I thought about it, I want to do something that I'm really going to enjoy and, make a pretty penny doing, hopefully, if it all works out well. But I think I want to be a financial planner.
Tim captained the football team at Reading, and he wants to play football in college at a small school. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Tim, he's never missed a day of school in his life.
Never been late, never missed a day, never left early. There's been days, you feel sick, but you just sit there and think like, wow, all these years I've put into trying to maintain perfect attendance. I'm going to tough it out.
Tracking the high school Heisman, I'm Jim Day.
Reminds you of yourself in your high school days.
I did not nearly as many things as that. I was a nerd. Not anymore, though. Definitely not anymore.
All right, more Ohio Sports Report after this. What do you want me to tell you? You're setting me up.
Stick around.
Big news for UC, maybe, huh?
Get a wide receiver out of Reading High School. Charlie Vampel has given a verbal commitment to the Bearcats. That's good news for the Cats.
So a local kid stays home.
Yes, he does.
For Rick Minner.
Right.
George has all your...
Football at UC, at least in the 29 years that Ken Miner's been coaching there. But the speedy Vampel is breaking the mold and heading for Clifton. He scored 14 touchdowns this past season to complement Deshaun Wynn, who is weighing his own offers.
Reading running back Deshaun Wynn, considered one of the top unsigned prospects in the country, visited the University of Florida this past weekend, and we are told that he's torn at the moment between the Gators and the UC Bearcats. Wynn still has one school to visit, and that's Boston College.
Reading running back Deshaun Wynn has verbally committed to Florida. He believes the Gators will be his best shot at getting to a national championship. The Division V Player of the Year has bulked up to 225 pounds and picks Florida over the likes of Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama. And since the Gators are now committed to the run, the Division V Player of the Year has verbally committed to Florida after spending last weekend in the Sunshine State. Reading coach Ken Miner told me that Wynn has now bulked up to 225 pounds and chose Florida over the likes of Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama. Tonight, right here.
Ken Miner thought he might throw in with UC-bound teammate Charlie Vampel, but Reading running back Deshaun Wynn's childhood dream of playing for Florida proved to be the tiebreaker, he said this afternoon. He said that nudged him to commit today to the Gators program. He will formalize his decision on National Signing Day, February 6th.
Back football stars made one college team very happy tonight. Reading's Deshaun Wynn was down to UC or Florida. We'll tell you who he picked coming up next in sports.
And the history
about it, Reading running back Deshaun Wynn was close to picking UC, but today he made an oral commitment to the University of Florida. Deshaun broke about every rushing record in the book at Reading, over 4,400 yards and 60 touchdowns in 2 years. He racked up 35 touchdowns as a freshman at Laughlin. Wynn's speed made him a top 5 prospect in the state. He was also named first team All-Midwest. So Deshaun Wynn will head to Florida and run the rock for the Gators. Well, it won't be quite the scene it was.
Running back Deshaun Wynn announced today that he is heading to Florida. Wynn is rated one of the top running backs in the country. The Division V Player of the Year for the second straight season picked Florida over UC and Alabama.
I went down to Florida's campuses last Friday, and it didn't take me long to realize that I wanted to go there. It was nice. Everything you want in a college, you have a chance to play for a national championship year in and year out. Very competitive net terms, and also, yeah, a nice campus.
College brought you at 6 o'clock. Reading star running back Deshaun Wynn will take his talents down south to Gainesville and the University of Florida. Wynn, who just completely ran through the competition this season, will make it official on National Signing Day, February 6th. UC was the unfortunate runner-up there.
And Reading star running back Deshaun Wynn verbally commits to Florida today. The Division V Player of the Year chose the Gators over Ohio State, Michigan, and Alabama. And Reading coach Ken Miner told me earlier today Wynn has now bulked up to 225 pounds.
Players from Reading made their decisions. The multi-talented Charlie Vampel goes to the UC.
Like the time he threw up in class.
I didn't want to go home early, so instead I just went to the restroom and hid in there for a couple hours so that, I didn't have to go to the office.
And then there was the time in 6th grade.
I got a cut on my eye. Had to wear a patch over my eye where the doctor recommended I didn't go to school, but I told him I had to.
There is one thing that's probably made everyone late for something, the dreaded train, but it didn't stop Tim.
There was a train where we usually take to go to school. It stopped on the tracks, so we had to go 15 minutes out of our way just to make it up to school.
Tim has also made it to every football practice. His coach has even been challenged by his feet.
Whenever I miss a day or something like that, I'm always thinking, oh, Tim doesn't say anything to me the next day. So, yeah, he's been a great influence on a lot of people.
An influence he hopes to spread when he starts college at Mount St. Joseph this fall. In Reading, Janelle Walton, 9 News.
Tim says he's never even missed a day of work at his summer job. Can you believe that?
It makes me think of Cal Ripken. They call him the Iron Man for doing what he did, so maybe we should call this young man the same thing.
Well, I noticed that he talked about being in the honors physics class, and I think probably being there every single day is probably a reason he's in the honors classes.
You are probably right. We now know that someone killed.
Special honors for a special student tonight. Tony now introduces you to a remarkable high school senior who is graduating with a number of accomplishments, but one of them stands out above the rest.
Peek into a Reading High classroom and you might find Tim Coffey. Tim is a graduating senior whose name is atop the honor roll. He was a star athlete, and on top of everything, he writes for the student newspaper. But despite all those accolades, he's being recognized for something else, showing up.
I mean, really, anybody could do it, but, you know, like being involved in sports and, you know, part of keeping good grades is being here. I mean, in order to learn the lesson, you have to be here to listen to it.
Tim has never missed a day of school. That's over 1,800 consecutive days. Never been out sick. Never had an extended vacation.
Always during spring break.
Never missed because you didn't have any clean clothes at home.
No, it's not a problem.
Never missed because your car wouldn't start.
Nope, reliable car.
These were all excuses given to the office here for why certain kids have missed school this year.
Hey, I find it hard to believe. You know, my theory is if you're sick, suck it up, get here. You know, life will still go on, you won't die.
As you can imagine, Tim is a teacher's dream, even on this, his last day of school.
He was here 15 minutes early today. Didn't have to be here until 5 to 8. He's here early. Can I pass out the papers for you today? I mean, that's Tim.
And if it's true, and part of success really is just showing up, Tim's future is looking pretty good. Tony now, Eyewitness News 5.
But does he walk to school in 5 feet of snow, 5 miles every day? I don't know. His moviegoers flock to the big bus.
Do you remember this kid from Reading that ran his way to a Division I football school? On signing day in early 2002, Deshaun Wynn inked a future with the University of Florida.
It's kind of a new start. I'm excited about it, though.
Wynn's making quite a statement down south. Last Saturday, he ran 65 yards for a touchdown against Miami. The freshman is getting some serious playing time and some serious recognition. He was voted Florida's player of the game.